Hi, guys. Welcome back. It is so nice to see you guys again. We are on episode
4.
Do we call it the grand finale?
It is the grand finale.
This is the grand finale on our Rooted podcast where we've been going through the book of Jonah. We've done 3 chapters so far. And so today we come to our fantastic conclusion. We'll decide whether it's fantastic or not. But yes, to the fantastic conclusion. We are so excited to have you guys. My name is Faith. And
I'm Kevin.
uh,
Are we doing
kinetic.
the... Yeah. I am
Kinetic.
not kinetic.
Not kinetic, Kevin, and fantastic Faith. There's an explanation to that. You need to watch it in episode 3 if you want to understand the joke behind that. Today we are on
Jonah 4.
Jonah 4.
And we are doing I think it's a grand finale, by the way. Having read through this, and
This feels like a
prepped,
good movie.
it's a good movie. It's a very good movie. Maybe we take them through what's happened before, if you haven't watched the previous episodes. So in
Chapter 1.
we talked
Jonah.
about Jonah and the sailors, not soldiers. Another joke that you will get by watching episode 1. We saw how God was willing to allow the sailors in that story to be put in a tough situation because of Jonah's disobedience. And so we reflected on that from Jonah's perspective and the sailors' perspective. But in the end, God uses it to help all of them have a right relationship with him. So that's 1. Just in case you've never read the book of Jonah, Jonah is sent to preach to people who are his mortal enemies. So that's how we start. And he goes the other direction. And in 1, he messes up the sailors' lives. In 2, he gets swallowed by a fish. So he, of his own accord, tells the sailors, throw me overboard. He sinks down into the ocean, gets swallowed by a fish, and he basically describes his life as being in a pit.
Yeah.
And God allows him to get to that pit because, weirdly enough, in that pit is where Jonah, a prophet of the Lord,
Prophet of the Lord.
someone who works for God, i.e., they should be in communication constantly.
Yeah.
That's the first time in this story they talk
Yeah.
since Jonah was sent to preach and said no. So we reflected on how God allows us sometimes to be in those pit seasons because we really call out for him when we are there, and he allows it. I mean, he didn't tell Jonah to throw himself overboard.
Yeah.
He just provided the fish.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
In 3, we looked at God honestly threatening to finish a group of people.
They had 40 days.
They had 40 days. And it's a group of people who deserve the threats.
They really did. They were so bad.
They were brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. Again, go listen to 3 if you want to hear how brutal the Assyrians were and the Ninevites were. But behind God's threat is a desire for salvation. Something that Jonah knows, which will develop more in 4 as we read it, but something that plays out exactly that way because these brutal people who are not God's chosen, in quotes, hear this threat, repent, turn away, do the best they can to show they're sorry, and God sees how far they go in doing that, and he relents. That's basically how chapter 3 ends. And we reflected on many things in 3. I feel like it had the most take homes.
Yeah.
But just so many things, how we as those who follow God can sometimes get entitled.
So many times.
So
So many
many
times,
times.
guys. Yeah.
He has to work within our expectations, But at the same time, we also we exclude others who we feel are not close enough to God, and yet they are capable of obeying him much better than we can at any given point. Because the Ninevites' behavior is so much better than Jonah's with regards to God. And also just reflecting on the whole idea of when God tells us hard stuff, when he gives us a hard message, that behind it is love.
Yeah.
The intention is salvation.
Yeah.
It's not because he hates us or he's trying to make us feel bad or he delights in, he used the word shame a lot last episode.
Yeah.
It's none of that. He doesn't delight in any of that.
Yeah.
The thing is salvation. And the hard message is just the truth that gets you to salvation. Physical, spiritual, all of it. He has his eyes on your salvation. So that's how far we've come. Yeah.
So that leads us into chapter 4. Chapter 4 is very interesting. I think it will reveal
A lot.
things that we hold within ourselves.
Yeah.
entitlement, struggling with authority, struggling with hard messages. But shall we read it first?
Yes.
Do you want to read or shall I read?
I'd like you to read.
Okay.
You are even allowed to read from New King James Version.
New King James. Guys, I have permission. Alrighty. So Jonah chapter 4 in the New King James Version, because I've been given permission by Kevin. And it's called Jonah's Anger and God's Kindness. But it displeased Jonah exceedingly, and he became angry. So he prayed to the Lord and said, Lord, was not this what I said when I was still in my country?
Wild.
Therefore, I fled previously to Tarshish, for I know that you are a gracious and merciful God, slow to anger and abundant in loving kindness, one who relents from doing harm. Therefore now...
I feel like I even want to stop you, but keep going. Because everything we've been saying, he says it from his own mouth. He's like, yeah, keep going though. Let's not interrupt.
First, it sounds like he's worshiping God.
It does. It does.
Therefore now, O Lord, please take my life from me, for it is better for me to die than to live. Then the Lord said, is it right for you to be angry? So Jonah went out of the city and sat on the east side of the city. There he made himself a shelter and sat under it in the shade, till he might see what would become of the city. And the Lord God prepared a plant and made it come up over Jonah, that it might be shade for his head to deliver him from his misery. So Jonah was very grateful for the plant. But as morning dawned the next day, God prepared a worm, and it so damaged the plant that it withered. And it happened when the sun arose that God prepared a vehement east wind, and the sun beat on Jonah's head so that he grew faint. Then he wished death for himself and said, it is better for me to die than to live. Then God said to Jonah, is it right for you to be angry about the plant? And he said, it is right for me to be angry, even to death. But the Lord said, you have had pity on the plant, for which you have not labored, nor made it grow, which came up in a night and perished in a night. Should I not pity Nineveh, that great city, in which are more than 120,000 persons, who cannot discern between their right hand and their left, and much livestock? Full stop.
Full stop.
The end.
Crazy full stop. There's so much. If you've watched the other episodes, there's so much that comes here. So I'm gonna hold myself from doing the most interesting things and just go verse by verse.
Yeah.
It is so wild. And even jumping in, I'm not even asking you what you thought.
I know, because first we've ended on a cliffhanger. But then I'll let you go, because it's the same. Even as I was reading, I'm like, I've switched back to NLT. So as we compare, I'll also now be on this other version, because the language brings more.
It does bring more home. So Jonah is angry. And then what does he say? He reveals, Lord, isn't this what I said while I was still at home? So Jonah and God had a whole discussion, apparently, before he left. And he says, I knew that you are a gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger, abounding in love, a God who relents from sending calamity. Now, it doesn't feel like that as you're reading 1, 2, and 3. But God's prophet, who knows him well, says that. And the words he uses are not just his own words. In fact, if you go to other parts of the Bible, the Israelites often classified God by those words. They called him the Lord, gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, and abounding in love.
I mean, I'm like, this is even in the Psalms, isn't it?
It's in Psalms. Yes, I think Psalm 103. You find it in different places. And the thing is, it's their description for God. It's their version of, if they were to do a LinkedIn bio for him, that's what would be in the description part. They've not been forced to say this. And I find that so funny sometimes, because people in the Old Testament are always like, when people read the Old Testament, they're always like, God is harsh. And you realize God is, the people who are experiencing his harshness, this is actually what he looked like. He looked gracious and compassionate.
Love that this statement is here. So in the NLT, in this is what, verse 2, the very end of verse 2, because verse 2 is long. And Jonah says, because basically he's throwing a tantrum here.
He really is.
He's throwing a tantrum, and he's basically telling God, I told you so.
He's being that kid.
Yeah, he's really being that kid. It's such audacity. And he literally, when you're talking about the supermarket, the child throwing themselves on the floor,
Yeah.
and he's saying, I told you so. Didn't I say this? This is why I disobeyed you. He justifies his sin.
disobedience.
Yeah. He justifies his sin, but he does say, this is my problem with you, God. You're merciful, you're compassionate, you're slow to get angry, you're filled with unfailing love. You are eager to turn back from destroying people.
That's what it says in NLT.
Yeah.
That's
You are eager to turn back. Now, for me, this is really powerful because this is something many of us, if you read the Old Testament, right now I'm reading a couple of books, it's really interesting. And I mean, you could make, I think every epic movie has copied from the Old Testament.
Actually,
literally, I'm like, all these movies on war, you guys who love the battle thing.
As a movie buff, I am a movie buff. If you know me, you know.
Yeah.
There's actually a couple of famous directors who say that every movie is just the Old Testament. And they're not, these are not believers.
Yeah.
They're just people who are like, if you actually read the Old Testament, every single movie is a format.
You read it, it's hectic. The violence is insane. The wars are insane. Just the things people do are crazy. And so when you read it, it's very easy to say, the God of the Old Testament was a violent God. He was a harsh God. How could he destroy entire cities or entire villages? And yet when you read through the stories properly, which is one of the things I tell people, or I think we should encourage people more and more to do, is if you think this is how God is, if he feels harsh, actually go read the stories for yourselves. Because when you read it, you actually see how compassionate he's constantly forgiving.
You pick up details. Like we're picking up with Jonah now.
Yeah.
Because God seems crazy in 1, 2, and 3. And then Jonah actually says, no, his bio is not crazy God.
Yeah.
His bio is gracious, compassionate, slow to anger, abounding in love. What's your version of?
Eager to turn back from destroying people.
Eager to turn
And it's
back
like, because I know your bio, that's why I didn't want to go to those wicked people, because I know you.
Because I know you.
And now look what you've done.
And now I'm embarrassed. I want to die. Take away my life. He really is being that kid in the supermarket.
Yeah.
Take away my life. And to some extent, you can understand why he'd say that.
Yeah.
Like, it's very embarrassing for a prophet of Israel to go and prophesy destruction on Israel's current worst enemies.
Yeah.
And then the God of Israel forgives them. It looks bad.
Yeah. It's very bad.
If you're being selfish, it looks bad.
That's why he's gone to wait and see what happens to the city.
He's full on, I'm going to use this word, he's full on furad. Like he's sulking to high heaven.
Yeah.
Because as far as he's concerned, and we talked about this in 3, his expectation is that as a prophet of Israel, I should prophesy destruction against Israel's enemies, and Israel's enemies should be destroyed. And that's the thing about knowing God and becoming entitled. He now has to fit your expectations. And here's Jonah. Everything he has done is because God is not fitting his expectation. So
this is my mic that needs to be at this level. So he goes, so shouts at God, is not sorry that he's feeling entitled
at all.
Then he goes, makes for himself a shelter, and he waits to see. So he goes outside of the city, and then he waits to see. So he's waiting for those. Yeah, I'm waiting for the 40 days. Yeah. It's like that.
And notice, God has asked him a question. He's not answered.
He didn't answer.
We're back to the shaky relationship in 1. God has asked him, is it right for you to be angry? He has not answered. He's thrown a tantrum. Sulking. He's gone to sit and watch if mom is going to buy me the thing I asked for.
So then God, because he is wise, he is kind, he doesn't yell at Jonah, he doesn't smite him. He should be smitten even maybe. So he doesn't get a backhanded slap.
With God now, you're like,
God is like, he's such a good parent. This is like good parenting. So the plant grows, broad leaves over Jonah's head, shading him from the sun. This eased Jonah's discomfort, and Jonah was very grateful for the plant.
Note, I'm also having mic issues. Note, today is the day.
We're just throwing our mics around today.
But note, what makes him happy is that the plant eased his discomfort.
Yeah.
Which will be interesting as you watch this whole thing happen. You will notice God is just driving the point home with Jonah.
Yeah.
Jonah just cares about himself.
Yeah.
He does not care about all the other people around him. And honestly, God is not just drawing that with Jonah, he's drawing that with very many people, which we'll get to.
Because this is God's prophet.
But it eased his discomfort. So now he's happy.
very grateful. He was happy. Then God arranged for the worm, and the next morning at dawn, the worm ate through the stem of the plant. So I've gone back to the NLT version, so that's why it's sounding a bit different. The next morning at dawn, the worm ate through the stem of the plant so that it withered away. So this plant was there for a day. One day, as the plant withers away, a scorching east wind blows on Jonah, so God arranges for that as well. And it becomes so hot, the sun beat down on his head until he grew faint, and again wished to die.
It's better for me to die. Because if we are throwing a tantrum in the supermarket, let's just fully throw it. Let's just get it done.
So,
But do you see how
Yeah.
God has basically he's retold the whole story of Jonah in
Yeah.
a small example.
but
Jonah
Jonah
is happy
falls.
to be Israelite.
Jonah falls right into it because when he
He doesn't
says,
see it coming. but
"Death
it's-
is certainly better than living like this," he exclaimed. Then this time he'll respond because God asks Jonah kind of the same question. Is it right for you to be angry? But now he says, because the plant died. So the first time in verse 4, the Lord asks him, is it right for you to be angry about this? Jonah doesn't respond, which is so rude, by the way. Kids, don't do this to your parents. It's very annoying.
So Christians, don't do this to your God. Anyway.
And
Good,
then
yeah.
in verse 9, he asks him the same question. Is it right for you to be angry? But this time he says, because the plant died. Jonah replies this time.
And he replies with irony because he really does not care.
So he says, yes, Jonah retorted. So snaps back. Yes, even angry enough to die.
And he's walked back into the whole story because Jonah is happy that God has called him to be a prophet. He's happy that he's an Israelite. He considers himself chosen, as you should. But the moment God required of him something that took away his comfort, he was angry. He was disobedient. And then he winds up in a place where he feels it is even better to die than to do these things that you're asking me to do. And God, a mini skit to bring Jonah back to the same place. And I'm not sure if Jonah gets it in the moment. I'm sure he did, thinking about it later on. But we who read it, we get it. It's so obvious. You're willing to die over the plant? You don't care about the plant.
You sulked about a plant.
But you don't care about the plant.
Yeah.
Or you cared about the plant because it gave you comfort.
Yeah.
When the plant when the discomfort came because of the plant, you became upset. Jonah, you care about God. You care about his choosing and his election and his blessing as long as it's good for you. The moment it feels like it requires something more of you than that goodness, the moment discomfort comes, you're upset. You want to.
Very upset, yeah.
So this is all about you. In our contrast, who God says it is all about for him.
So he says, so this is verse 10 and 11. And again, I think this is God trying to teach his child. Like, I'm trying to show you the bigger picture here. So then the Lord says, you feel sorry about the plant, though you did nothing to put it there. It came quickly and it died quickly. Two things for me there. Again, he's pointing out sovereignty. So you did nothing.
You did nothing.
You actually have no rights. Yeah.
You being an Israelite,
Yeah.
your selection.
This emotions, yeah. You've done nothing about this. And this particular plant was here today, gone tomorrow. Yeah. It came quickly, it died quickly. But Nineveh has more than 120,000 people. Now NLT describes it better, living in spiritual darkness. Not to mention all the animals. That's so sweet though. Shouldn't I feel sorry for such a great city?
And it ends with a question mark.
And that's the end of the book.
That's the end of the book. And the thing is, you now see clearly, we've been making this point over the whole series, even though it doesn't feel like it. All of it, acts of love. Mess up the sailors for a while, have Jonah in the belly of a fish for a while, threaten the Ninevites for a while. All of it, an act of love. Because God is looking and saying, I don't want 120,000 brutal, wicked people to die. I want to give them a second chance. And if you understand that, then you'll understand so much about the God of the Bible, why he does the things he does, why he says things the way he says them, and then his actions seem very loving. So I feel like in I'll use a big phrase, in evangelical church tradition, we move into extremes. We either go, he's a harsh God and we should just follow him, period. Or we go, he's a loving God, he's actually not as harsh as people have painted him to be. And when you read stories like this, you realize, no, even the harshness serves the love. You see the balance between the two. They start to make sense. And it starts to open up your mind to other stories in the Bible, because God does crazy things to people who may not even necessarily deserve the craziness, but with salvation on his mind. So one story that comes to mind is Joseph. So Joseph, if you guys don't know the story of Joseph, Genesis, most of it is about Joseph, actually. Most of it is about him, like from 20-something. Yeah. No, 20-something is his grandfather and his father. And then from like 30-something, almost all the way to the 50s, it's just a story about Joseph. And Joseph famously gets betrayed by his brothers because he's having dreams that God is showing him he shall be great. Like a lastborn, he shares the dreams. So his only crime is being, no hatred towards lastborns. Actually love you guys. I'm an only born. So I'm last sometimes.
Yes, some lastborn problems.
Yeah.
That this is true.
Yeah. I'm last. So just don't he's against lastborns. Like, don't put that in the comments. Put everything else, just not that.
But Joseph was planless, so he planlessly unveils his dreams to his brothers.
He comes and tells his dreams, and they don't like it.
Yeah.
But does he deserve to be sold? Because first they want to kill him. Then they decide, let's not kill him, let's sell him. They sell him into slavery. For what? For telling you a dream. Like, there's no argument about him lacking wisdom there. The brothers did not do what was right. Joseph goes into slavery, somehow manages to thrive in slavery, somehow, ends up being a slave in a nice place. And then the nice place is Potiphar, captain of the guard to Pharaoh. Egypt is a superpower of the time, so he's in a nice place. Potiphar's wife looks at him and goes, yes. Joseph goes, no. Potiphar's wife goes, you'll regret that. And he ends up in jail. And now, again, God has allowed that to happen to him. What has Joseph done but say, no, that's all he's done. He ends up in jail. In jail, he gets two people from Pharaoh who he gets dreams about and helps them understand their dreams and tells them, I won't spoil too much, go and read the story of Joseph, but basically one of them gets killed, another gets saved through the dreams that they received, and Joseph interpreted them well. And he tells the one who gets saved, like, oh, you guys remember me, life has been hard. I shouldn't be here in jail. I shouldn't even be here in this country. It's been a bit crazy. When you go back to Pharaoh, please remember me and see if he can intervene in my story. The guy goes and forgets him for 2 years till Pharaoh has a dream. And then here comes this dreamer who was punished for having dreams in the beginning. Here comes this dreamer because the guy is like, oh, I remember a guy who told me my dream. And goes to get Joseph and brings Joseph to Pharaoh. Joseph helps Pharaoh not only understand the dream he had, but the actions he should take concerning the dream. And Joseph goes from prisoner to in charge of a huge relief program in Egypt.
Relief program.
And then he does so well in that program that he's basically become second in command in Egypt. And while he's second in command, still in charge of the relief program, his brothers who sold him come to look for food. And who do they find? Their brother. But they can't even tell it's him because it's been so many years. And through a series of interesting episodes, they finally understand that it's Joseph and he's alive, and they're afraid that he will kill them. And in Genesis 45, I think verse 5 and 7, he tells them that they shouldn't worry about him killing them because he sees that what was done,
what they had intended for
evil, God allowed that many lives should be saved. So all this being sold into slavery, all this drama with Potiphar's wife and prison and all those things that he went through was the path to him being in charge of a relief program that was not just big enough for Egypt, but for the whole world. People get this story wrong. They always focus on the palace, like he had a great job and a great position. Like people focus on the selfish stuff. No, like Joseph's words.
Like Jonah, like we like the nice things.
You like the things for us.
Even it's the ending is, but then he was now the top. He was second in command.
God can take you from nothing to something. Those are the things we like. But listen to Joseph's words in 45. Joseph is looking and thinking, this famine would have struck and people would have died because even Pharaoh and his wisest guys would not have known what to do. But God took me through all that nonsense so that at this point I'd be here and actually
Many can be saved.
many can be saved. Not just God's chosen people, but even the Egyptians who God cared for, they would not die of famine too. God does these crazy things with salvation in mind all the time. And he just doesn't do it with himself. I mean,
with his people.
He does it with himself.
Yeah.
Like, what is the story of Jesus but God being crazy with himself? Like, you sent your son to die. You take the form of human beings to die for them. Then, even if you know that your end is death, you don't even give yourself a good human life.
No.
Like, you're born poor. You grow up poor. When you're born, the people who are afraid of you coming decide to kill everyone 2 years and below. So you guys run away. You're refugees.
Exile,
So you know what it means to be refugees. You know what it means to be in exile. You grow up poor. You are born and you grow up in an area that people don't like, even in that country.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the worst area of all.
Yeah.
So even you don't give yourself a great life as God on
Even
earth.
your career, you're a mere...
Like, honestly, if you look at the story of Jesus, he could have come down, he's a fundi. You come down from heaven, 2 weeks, you do what you need to do.
Let's finish this.
You finish this story. The 30 years you put yourself through, we don't understand.
Yeah.
But all those things God does that are crazy, what's on his mind? Salvation.
For everybody.
For everybody.
And he is eager for no one to be lost.
For no one to be lost.
I think it's... I think for those who are new to the faith, or if you're curious, or you're just, again, just have questions like, who is this God? Why does he seem harsh? For me, Jonah's story is encouraging because then you see God fighting for people who actually were wicked, right? For those of us who are believers, is it a discipline story? I'm trying to find kinder words because we're entitled, and I think, check yourself. It's a check yourself story.
Check yourself thing.
Because we do get entitled. So we get either frustrated or upset, or we start feeling sorry for ourselves, or
it is better
questioning the Lord, should I walk away when I'm not getting what I want, right? So it is better for me to die. That's the entitlement. Or outright disobedience, or the Ninevites shouldn't be saved because they're bad, right? And yet we have no right to pass judgment because who are we and what do we know?
We have no right to pick and choose.
But more than that, we're also wicked. We're also wicked. We were all Ninevites. No one, there's a point where you transition from, and this is why God is saying, Nineveh has people who are living in spiritual darkness. Shouldn't I feel sorry for such a great city? And all of us at some point in time, no matter who you are, no matter what rank, title you hold now, or even if you're just an ordinary person just living your everyday life, I'm just doing my thing. All of us at some point were in spiritual darkness. So we all had wickedness, because wickedness is wickedness. Fine, we were not cutting people's heads off.
Seen it as wickedness?
Yeah.
It is,
It is wicked.
We're not feeling their skin.
We're not all good to use that example. Then I thought that's too extreme. So we may not have been doing these things that we prefer to judge as the bigger or more prominent sins, but we all were in spiritual darkness. So what does it mean for us then to check ourselves, basically? How do we recognize, number one, when we're being insubordinate? Because in chapter 4, Jonah just does an excellent job
of showing God that
of insubordinate.
Actually, God, I am God. That's what Jonah is.
Literally. And he retorts, and God is so kind. Is it right for you to be angry? Yes. It's like, yes, even angry enough to die. As far as we can tell, God didn't kill him right then.
God didn't kill him.
He didn't kill him.
He's as merciful and as kind with Jonah as he's being to the Ninevites, even though it doesn't look that way. And part of that is how the story ends.
So there's an interesting, now if we start to continue to pull out from the story, Jonah's name means?
Dove.
And dove was the term that God also used for?
One of his many pet names for Israel, his people.
Yeah.
So the story of Jonah is not just a story of one Israelite prophet. It is actually the story of Israel. You have this nation. This nation is chosen by God. They've done nothing to warrant their choosing. Like you look at their story and it's just, honestly, if God does nothing, you people, you don't exist.
Yeah.
And when they're chosen, like the onset, like the person they identify as their premier patriarch, that's Abraham, he's told, the promise is, I will bless you, and you will be a blessing to others, which over time has been stitched to mean that their choosing was not just so that God can bless them and show off with them, but that in that process of doing so, which was still part of the plan, that others would be drawn to him. However, the process of drawing others to him is uncomfortable, like what Jonah is going through here. And so Israel over time had become entitled, picking and choosing who should come and who should not, forgetting that they too were selected from nothing, which when God reminds them many times and he gets upset with them and he's like, I picked you guys from nothing.
From nothing.
I think there's a description in, I'm forgetting which prophetic book, I think it's Isaiah or something, where he even talks about how like the nation of Israel being born was like even a child being born in the wilderness. Like there's a very graphic picture he paints of. Honestly, you should have died out there. Like he tells them so well. And all of a sudden, you child who has been picked from out of nothing you have done, you want to pick and choose who should come. And the reason the book of Jonah, I feel, ends with the question is because the idea was to pose to the Israelites, who at this point in time are being attacked by many people, large empires and so on and so forth. Like, if God wants to be good to them too, what is it to you? Is this not the reason for which you were born? Is this not the reason for which I chose you? Why all of a sudden are you angry that I want to be good to others in the same way that I was good to you? It was always part of the plan.
This was the plan.
This was the plan.
Yeah.
And so I think, I'm not sure, because I've had so many sermons on Jonah and it's like, it ends like that because God could never use him again. He was just angry. And I look at it and I'm like, I don't think so.
No,
I think God was posing a question to the entire Israelite nation. But then he's also posing a question to those of us who think and believe we are Israelites today, who believe we are chosen of God because we've accepted Jesus. How do we go from being chosen, like you're saying, nothing we have done, to picking and choosing who should come? And we do it in such a way that even the world can tell when we are, and they use the word correctly, judgmental. When we turn up our nose at them and go, you're not holy. You're not spiritual.
These are the rules. And this is what we were saying in episode 3. We talked about very briefly about religion. And that religion is, many of our religious structures are outside of what God has said. It's our rules. It's us being Pharisees. I think, so Jonah's story is a snapshot of his life, which is why it's interesting when people want to extrapolate what happened to Jonah afterward.
It would never be.
It's like, guys, you have zero information on what happened afterwards. So we can't decide what happened. We get a snapshot of, he was already a prophet when he was introduced. So we don't know what other things he'd said, great things, blah, blah, blah. And we don't know what happened after, what he continued to do after. So his ministry is probably long. We get a small snapshot because God is using that to reflect back to the Israelites. And then here in our time, it reflects
on us.
It reflects on us. You as a child of God, how do you respond? This is what it looks like. This is a look in the mirror on what we look like. What we read and we're just like, how could Jonah be like that? This is a look in the mirror.
We are all Jonah. We should get t-shirts. We are all Jonah.
Gosh, guys, we're all Jonah. What else should the t-shirt say? Sorry?
Maybe. I don't know.
Repeat. Sorry.
Sorry.
So guys, the information for today. What's our tag? It's not our tagline, but it's like the good news and the bad news. But this is like a bad news one. We're all Jonah, guys. If you're a child of the king, he is the king. And sometimes we struggle with him being the king. I think we only like saying he's the king when we are singing worship songs.
Comfortable, when it's good to us.
It's the plant that covers our heads.
When it's our plan.
Like the worship was so good and he's the king. Then when the king speaks and gives his command, we sulk.
We do the Jonah thing.
Yeah, when we don't get what we want.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that is a bit hard to swallow is the reality that God is eager to save people. even
All men. All men. That's what 1 Timothy 2:3-4. God wants all to be saved.
yeah,
Some versions, all men to be saved.
which means as we continue to live in times when we experience, live through, and watch wickedness all around us, what he sees is he sees it through the eyes of compassion, and he's saying these are people living in spiritual
Blindness.
darkness. And he's eager to save them. It's very cute. He also says not to mention all the animals, but that's a side note. And the reason I'm bringing that home is because, again, we've said this in the other episodes, but we're living in a time in a season in the world, but in Kenya, where we feel that we are over experiencing wickedness. Last episode, we said we're not over experiencing.
It's always been like this.
It is what it is. But we are, many people are struggling with the wickedness, the injustice, the unfairness that we're seeing all around us. People are responding in different ways. For some, it's the overwhelm, the stress or the anxiety of not knowing what to do. Others, there's much anger.
There's anger. Other people check out. It's not happening.
There's apathy.
Yeah.
I just can't deal. Let me just live my life. And what God is saying here is I'm eager to save them. And I think that's a tough one for some people. Someone was sharing with me, which we had a good laugh, but she was like, okay, we're told to pray, but sometimes I just want to pray, kill them now, oh God. Like, yeah, you can't kill them now. And God is saying, I'm eager. I'm eager to
save even them.
Because it's spiritual darkness. So then again, it's bringing perspective into what we are seeing or what we are experiencing. There are bigger things at play. Go back to Israel. So when Abraham is given his promise, this random group of people, because why was it Israel who was chosen? We don't know. But chose this small, they're not like a big powerful nation, they're small, they're few.
Maybe that's even why they were chosen, because you're the most unlikely.
You're so unlikely.
Yeah.
And through you, other people will be blessed. But ultimately, even my eagerness to save the entire world, then this is the bloodline through which it is,
That will come.
through it's happening.
Yeah.
Because God knew he's coming. Back to what you're saying at the beginning. He's going to be the ultimate sacrifice at the end of the day. We jump into the New Testament with the Jews, who also are entitled because they're the chosen ones. They're waiting for the Messiah to come and smite the oppressive Romans.
Because that's what God's Messiah should do.
Because that's what God's Messiah should do.
Is save his chosen people.
And that's why they don't understand Jesus when he's there, because he is not behaving well. He's interacting with people he shouldn't be interacting with. He's going to talk to the people Jonah was feeling we shouldn't talk to those people. The tax collector oppresses me. Why be with him?
Why call him as a disciple?
Why call him? Why would you save the Roman centurion's child? Actually, we should be, destroying this.
Anything, the child should die, and so should the Roman centurion as a warning to Rome that your time is up.
Your time is up. And so they really struggle with that concept. And then again, we see Jesus speaking to them, and literally what God is telling Jonah right here, do you have the right to be angry? And so then now it comes to us who are in the kingdom.
Yeah, it's hitting even for me.
Do we have the right to be
angry when God doesn't do things that we think he should do?
This part is still for those who are believers, because in chapter 3, there's the part where we see that the king of Nineveh, so this wicked nation, and they choose to fast, which would be more of a holy thing to do. So I don't know how we would feel as the church if suddenly you're like, who are those people fasting? Like, that's a sacred, it's practicing the way of Jesus. It's
There's
a sacred
story
thing.
I have, which is about Kenya, that I feel is like that.
Yeah.
But I think it can be borderline conspiracy, so let me not share it.
You'll hold it back.
I'll hold it back.
But it's really, that's
I told
what
it
they
before,
do. And God responds to the fast.
Yeah, he does.
Response. But yet even their stance, when their posture, when they're fasting is, who knows? Let's see if God will respond. He's so angry, let's see, who knows? And they fast based on that. When we fast, and I'm saying when we, because as Christians, I hope we are supposed to be, when we pray, when we fast, when. So when we fast, and this is not to guilt anyone. If you've not been fasting, again, just a conversation to have with God, and he'll walk you gently into that. This is not supposed to be a religious thing. But also when people fast with a list of, quite often it happens that people fast with not the list of the things
they want to
that
get.
will be miraculously accomplished. Is it a miracle anyway? Or will be miraculously accomplished at the end of their fast or during their fast. Again, not to take away from the many great things that happen during and because of people's fasting. It's very powerful. But you get to your end of your fast and some things that you wanted on your list have not been done. If any, maybe God has done completely other things. Well done, my good and faithful servant. Go speak to the Ninevites. I want to use you. Thank you for fasting.
Thank you for fasting.
And you're like, no, what I wanted was that job.
That job. Yeah. How are we going to have food and pay for school fees?
How many times do we respond like Jonah?
Mm.
I'm so angry. Do you have a right to be angry about the plant? Yes, even enough to die.
It is better for me to die than to fast again and for you to do nothing.
Yeah.
The fast.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out something that you brought up with the animals as well. And I think it's for those who are not believers. I have heard many people, and it's a recent thing, I think the last 10 years or so, many people talk about how this God is like the God of the Israelites. In fact, let me tell you how it's phrased. Christianity is a Western religion.
Or because it was brought in by outsiders.
Yes.
We're now going to be very politically correct.
Yes.
It was brought in by outsiders.
Yes.
And therefore it's not
foreign.
ours.
It's not ours. And we should go back to our own understandings of God.
And what's our own, what's the logic around
whatever the own is? That is what they go. So it's that. I think it's okay, to be honest. I think the argument is about, not all our ways were bad, quote unquote, before this happened.
Okay.
But it takes something into account that Jonah disproves.
Right.
And if Jonah
So people are
disproves it,
so sort of referring to like maybe cultural practices or something that they feel
we should go back.
Western religion has
taken
away. Okay.
And it's actually pretty deep because it's sort of done this cycle.
Yeah.
And so you have like even people in the Western world who are starting to pay more attention to our traditional religions as well and incorporate them in different ways. I've seen some interesting stuff in movies. I love movies. I've seen some stuff in movies, even in modern music this is related to the African god of this or that or the other. Like it's good, it's done a whole 360 and it's feeding on itself. But the premise is that Christianity is foreign. And so the Western religion part, that's a political statement, to be honest.
Yeah.
This is a Middle Eastern religion. If we're going to be ethnic about it, this is a Middle Eastern religion.
This is where they came from, yeah.
But did he ever act like a Middle Eastern god alone? And the answer to that question, overwhelmingly, is no.
100% no.
And the book of Jonah is proof of that.
Yeah.
We've talked about like when he told Abraham, blessing to other nations. That can be perceived as vague. If I want to give you an argument, you can perceive it as vague. But the fact that in this story, the Ninevites and their animals are the main goal.
Yeah.
And God is wanting Jonah to realize that they are worth it.
Yeah.
It's proof that God considered himself not just king of Israel, but king of other nations as well.
Yeah.
And then you go into other minor prophetic books like the book of Amos and Amos, another prophet, is talking about the sins that these countries have done. And country this for 3 sins of this 4 sins. So God is actually judging each country as if he's their God. When we clearly know that some of these countries, some of these nations don't even worship him as the primary God. And so he's always considered himself God of all, the God of the entire universe. And that's the thing. If you actually want to sit and say Christianity is foreign, I would question how much have you actually read, because this God in this book does not act local alone. His thoughts are not local alone. His thoughts are on everyone. Everything he's doing is for everybody. And I say that because then I want to encourage the person who has believed that to see this story and think again. To see this story and ask yourself, if God is willing to put through discomfort his own to get to you, who feel that you're not his own, why aren't you opening the door? This is not him forcing his people on you. This is him trying to reach out through his people to you, like you're the goal. And so how then can you look at that God and say, I don't want to try you
Yeah.
because you're foreign.
Yeah.
You mischaracterized him. And I feel like that's what has happened with all these assertions. The God in the Bible has been mischaracterized as being local.
Yeah.
Whether it's local in a political sense to the people who brought him to us, or local in an ethnic sense, like it came from here,
Yeah.
when he's always, always, always the
Yeah.
king of the universe. So
Very
he's always
interesting.
acted that.
Because we see the thread of that lie. So we'll just call it what it is, because that's a lie. But we see the thread of how it plays out. So we read it in the Bible, but because sometimes we read the Bible as something that's so far removed from us, we don't connect ourselves to that, right? But in the Bible, this was something that, again, in the New Testament, that we see the Jews struggling with. And even after Jesus leaves and the early church is beginning, we see that struggle because the Jews then are holding on to
Specialness, chosenness.
Yeah,
Make the Gentiles Jews now.
Yeah, this is how they need to become. And then we see in Romans, then this becomes a conversation because the Jews, so now this is the Christian church. So this is now not outside because these letters are to the church, the new church, the early church. They're doing well, they're seeing miracles, they're growing quickly, numbers are being added every day. And the Jews are now thinking, okay, yeah, believe in Jesus, be saved. But I think that these other things you need to do to become like us.
Yeah.
So that maybe we can,
So it makes sense. So the math.
it needs to make sense. Yeah, maths. Romans 10:11, as the scripture says, anyone who trusts in him will never be disgraced. 12, Jew and Gentile are the same in this respect. They have the same Lord who gives generously to all who call on him. 13, for everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. Everyone. So this was being told to the Jews who perhaps would have, so it's a whole other story when we come to now, we're talking about the lies of now where we are struggling with Western religion versus, I don't know, our traditional beliefs. We're like, where did we even get that from? But that's again understanding the lies which
come through.
But at the end of the day, in plain language, for everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. And in Jonah, God saying, why wouldn't I save people who I can see in spiritual darkness, which is all of us,
So his love for all is there. You reminded me of one story. I'll add it as well. Scripture. It's missed by people, and I'm even forgetting the reference, but what we'll do, we'll put it in the comments when I get the reference. So many people know, like when God was giving the Israelites the promised land, like the spies went in, 2 spies came back with like a great, we can do it. And then the other 10 were like, I will be finished. Those guys are giants. So they refuse to go in when God wants them to go in. Now, how that story unfolds is God gets upset with them. At some point, they try and go of their own and they don't go. But then God, it's such an obscure reference. You can miss it if you don't read the story. And that's why I like that we're telling people, go back and read these stories because he seems harsh when you hear it. Then you read it and pick up on details and you're like, no, we missed it. God actually allows the Israelites in the desert, who now will walk there for a while, to see the descendants of Esau. Do you remember Esau? Esau was Jacob's brother. So before we got to Joseph, who we've talked about, Jacob was his dad. Granddad. Isaac was granddad. And then Abraham was great granddad to Joseph. So Jacob is, Esau is Jacob's brother. And if you read that story back in Genesis, God clearly chooses Jacob over Esau. And with some very harsh language. Jacob I loved, Esau I hated.
Yeah.
And it sounds harsh when you read it. Till you read the rest of the Bible and realize what God's hatred looks like, you might actually start praying, God hate me too.
I don't mind.
I don't mind being hated by you. Because Esau is treated so well.
Yeah.
Like his family grows, his people grow, they're blessed. And funnily enough, even hundreds of years later, in the midst of a story that is more focused on the descendants of Jacob, Esau's descendants are also getting blessed by God.
Yeah.
And in a moment where Jacob's descendants are disobedient, it's like God uses that to remind them, you guys think it's just about you. Abu, watch. Actually watch. You see those guys, you know them, yes. They're Esau's descendants, yes. Watch me take them to their land. Because you're here saying, I can't take you into this land. I have done miracles the world will talk about forever to break you out of Egypt. And for some reason, you're afraid of giants? Okay. let me remind you, this is not about you and how you feel and whether you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Look at the descendants of the one I hated and
Yeah.
rejected.
Yeah.
I had promised them this land.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, don't go and take it. It's theirs.
It's theirs.
Now watch me give it to them.
Yeah.
And I'll actually I'll put the reference down
I
in
can't
scripture.
find it. The
And
Edomites.
it's proof that even way back then in Genesis, God was still acting like it's not just one group of people. It's all people.
Yeah.
He's still showing all people his love, and he's still wanting all people to get saved.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think about it for me as a believer today. To really check myself, like what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
Who do I think shouldn't come?
Yeah.
Who do I pick and choose?
Yeah.
What do I think of my worst enemy?
Yeah.
Is it okay to be honest with God and be like, Father, if you choose to take my worst enemy home, I'm okay with that?
Yeah.
Politically correct language. I'm okay with you taking my worst enemy home.
Because
that's how we feel.
I think that's a good reflection question for those who are listening. It's
because that's generally how we feel. That's how people feel.
How do you feel? How would you feel about if God sends you to your worst enemy and your message to them is God loves you and he's going to save you and he's going to prosper you and your family. And that's it. You go back. Like your worst enemy, like someone who's gossiped about you or slandered you or stabbed you in the back, someone who owes you an apology.
Often.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But your message is not, this is not go reconcile and we're going to have this hard conversation, but everything will be well. You've just been told, just go tell them
nice things.
Nice things.
Nice things from me, God. Nice things from me, your God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's a real heart check for us. How do we also treat sharing God with others? You know me. You've known me for a while now. You know how passionate I am about. Sometimes using passionate has been misused, so sometimes it gets lost. But I'll use it. You know how passionate I am about telling people about God in a way that they can understand.
Yeah.
Not the way you think that they should understand. So trying to get rid of Christian jargon.
Yeah.
Which is also hard for me because I've been trained in like Bible school, so I have a lot of Christian jargon.
Yeah.
But I realize how many times when I use it, people don't hear what they're supposed to hear. And I know of many places where we glory in the jargon. I mean, even just in a normal job, like you want to show off that you know your things, you just spit the jargon from the job. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're helping anyone with it. And I wonder for myself as well, like the heart check is, has that become part of the exclusion that is slowly forming? That me getting happy with this kabubble that I am in, of these Christian words, which we know with these certain Christian friends, is excluding. And therefore I need to go out and be amongst those who are not.
Yeah.
So I can share with them what God is saying. I think you've heard me speak about that many times before. And I feel it still comes up from here, because if I consider myself blessed and chosen, and all I want to do is stay there, I don't want to extend it, then that'll happen.
Yeah.
But if I take Jesus seriously, when he says go into all the world,
and make us actually thinking about that, make disciples of all nations. So the people are going to go back to, although it was not really the topic we began with, that this is a Western religion. Go make disciples of all nations. But there's so many actually heart checks here. Some are really encouraging, whether you're a believer or not. I think just Jonah chapter 4, verse, are we now on verse 3? That's verse 2. When he's complaining, but he actually gives a whole praise response as part of his complaining. I know that you are a merciful and compassionate God, slow to get angry and filled with unfailing love. If there's anything that's incredibly encouraging in this entire book, is this thing that's been given a statement as, like you said, his LinkedIn description. This is who he is. So no matter who you are, where you're at, no matter what's going on, no matter where you're seated, you could be in a great place feeling really close to God. You could be struggling with certain things. You could be feeling abandoned. You could be an unbeliever who's curious. You could be an unbeliever who's anti. But the truth of God remains the same. Irrespective of where we sit on our spectrum, the truth of who he is the same. And for those of us who are believers, his sovereignty is full stop. When he says I am, his sovereignty is full stop. So what he says, who he is, Isaiah 55, which we talked about earlier today,
Yeah.
where he says some very encouraging things at the beginning. And at some point, he just does a kind reminder. My ways are not your ways. They're higher. And my thoughts are not your thoughts. They're higher. He's just like, I know more than you. I'm cleverer than you. I'm better than you. In earthly terms, it's rude to say that to each other, but God can say it because it's true. And
he's still being gracious and compassionate.
He's still being gracious and compassionate.
Abounding in love.
When he tells us we are wicked, he's just saying facts. You're wicked. When he says you're a sinner, it's just a factual. But then he continues after that to say, but this is what I'm doing for you, and this is what I want to do for you.
Yeah, so we are done with Jonah 4, but I guess the question at the end of the book is for all of us. I think we brought that home in many ways, especially for those who believe. You really have many places to check yourself and see. But I'm also really interested in those who don't. And based on this account, I hope you've gone through. If you haven't watched all the other episodes, you should, because if you're feeling like 4 has a lot, you have missed a lot already by the time we got here. But give this God a chance on his terms, not your own.
Because he's eager to save you.
This eager. Eager enough to do all of this.
He threw a guy.
Just to get
the guy threw himself off the boat, but he sent the fish.
Eager enough to have all of us here, even on this couch.
Yeah.
And do this. Because God has brought all of us from different places. Even our producer, Christian, at the back.
Christian, this is what he's done.
Yeah, that's what he's done.
Awesome. Guys, please let us know what you thought of the episode. Again, we'll say it, we've been saying it at the top of the episode, but we'll say it at the bottom as we wrap up on chapter 4 of Jonah. But also this is our grand finale, wrapping up on the book of Jonah. It's been actually really great, even at a personal level, for both of us to just be able to go through. It's spoken to us.
Yes.
In so many ways.
Even afresh, you do the notes and then you were like, oh,
wow,
that makes sense.
Oh, I have to go think about something. Yeah. I have to go pray about something.
Yeah.
I have to stop being a Jonah. Kevin's gonna make us all t-shirts, but please let us know in the comments what you think. Share with us. Please like and subscribe. Not just because we're chasing likes for the sake of them, but the more you engage, then the more the word goes out. And we really would love to share this with as many people as possible. Send it to your friends. Come visit us at church, Renewal Church, Nairobi. We are in Karen near Waterfront, Hidden Gardens. You can Google, you'll find us. We have services on Sundays, 9 in the morning, 11 and 5 p.m.
Which is my favorite, which I shouldn't say out loud and on record. But
you keep saying it. Yes, we're one church. The whole church is great. So sorry, 9 and 11 a.m. people. If you need me to fire him, no, I'm joking. Guys, we hope to see you soon. Please let us know if you'd like more for us to go through more books.
Yeah, what books would you like us to go
he
through?
actually has, I was trying to look for the word because there's biblical jargon for this and I couldn't find the word, and then Kevin was supposed to, what is it when you do a Bible exegesis? What is it?
It is exegesis.
It is.
Yeah.
Exegesis. Yeah. So if you'd like us to do, what is it?
There's many words. I don't know. Do you want to share the words?
How to teach me so that I use it the next time.
Okay, hermeneutic, that's a different one.
Oh.
Then there's the opposite of exegesis, which is eisegesis. We are now going into just drama.
Okay, so if you'd like us to do another one, let us know. And we'll jump into it. Thank you guys, and thank you for tuning in and listening.
It's been amazing. God bless.
God bless.
See you next time.
Bye.